Iceland, the land of fire and ice with beautiful volcanoes, waterfalls, glaciers, and also northern lights. Capturing all of these beautiful Icelandic landscapes requires camera system that is competent, that can produce great image quality and also has great performance. Now, as a big fan of Micro Four Thirds camera system, the question that I wanna ask today is Micro Four Thirds good enough for Iceland, or do you need a bigger, better, more competent camera system? Let's find out in today's video. Hey friends, Gary here. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing an evaluation of my Micro Four Thirds cameras and lenses that I brought in a 2-week trip to Iceland. What worked, what didn't work? Let's find out in today's video. So, me and my wife, we just went back from Iceland, and our Iceland trip is a part of our bigger trip where we also visited Denmark, specifically Copenhagen, and also Finland, specifically Helsinki. While we were in Iceland, we visited some locations and we also did the whole island ring road self-drive tour. We began from Reykjavik and then we visited Svinafellsjokul Peninsula, specifically the Grundarfjordur area where we photographed the famous Kirkjufell mountain. And then we went to southern Iceland, specifically Seljalandsfoss waterfall, Skogafoss waterfall, and then the little town of Vik. We did the Katla Ice Cave Tour, and then we went to the southeastern part of Iceland, Svinafellsjokul, Jokulsarlon, Diamond Beach, Stokksness, and then also we headed to eastern part of Iceland to the little town of Seydisfjordur. Such a beautiful, magnificent place, and we visited some locations there, specifically Studlagil Canyon. And then we continued our journey to northern Iceland. We visited Lake Myvatn and also Godafoss and the beautiful town of Akureyri. Then we head back to Reykjavik and we continued our journey. So as you can see, quite a big trip with lots of locations, and also we encountered some northern lights as well while we were in Iceland. Anyway, on this particular trip, I brought 2 Micro Four Thirds camera bodies and 4 lenses. Let's start with my primary setup, which is the Panasonic Lumix G100 and the super zoom lens Panasonic Lumix 14 to 140mm f3.5 to f5.6, the original version. Then my secondary body, Panasonic Lumix GF9, or also known as the GX850, and the Panasonic Leica 9mm f1.7. Now my backup lenses are the kit lens Panasonic Lumix 12 to 32mm f3.5 to f5.6 and the mini telephoto lens Panasonic Lumix 35 to 100mm f4 to f5.6. Now let's talk about what actually worked. And obviously my primary setup, which is the G100 and the 14 to 140 super zoom, worked extremely well to capture about 90% of what I need. It's just very convenient. I can obviously zoom in and zoom out with just one lens, from moderate wide angle all the way to ultra telephoto. So I can capture things like mountains, waterfall. I will share some sample photos right now captured from Iceland with this setup so you can better understand what this setup is capable of. Again, lots of mountains, dramatic peaks, and then also waterfall, glaciers, and that occasional stop at the side of the road where I can capture some otherworldly dramatic landscapes. I can do it all with just the G100 and the 14 to 140. I can zoom in to get that compression effect and also to get a close-up of faraway things like the peak of the mountain, get some detail shots, even some macro shots of flowers. I can just do it with this one single camera and lens. And I can also zoom out to get more of that panoramic shot, that wider angle shot to tell better story and to include foregrounds. So surprisingly very flexible. And also I can do occasional portraits of my wife as well with this setup, even though I won't get that much background blur unless I'm really close or if I zoom in really far. The camera itself, the G100, proved to be a very capable and flexible camera. It has fast single autofocus that is also precise, snappy performance, great boot time, great control, great ergonomics with this little extra handle at the front of the camera. It is also lightweight, so it helps me to reduce weight for my carry-on luggage when I'm traveling with plane. And then also it has flipping screen, fully articulating, that I can use for vertical landscape shots. That's very important in this trip. And just other features that are very useful from a small, compact, lightweight package. Bonus point, not only the G100 is a capable photography camera, but for video, specifically for capturing B-roll, it is also great. I was able to capture some nice footages from Iceland with this combo, the G100 and the 14-140, and also with the combination of the stabilizer on the lens as well as the digital stabilizer on the camera, I was able to capture some smooth, jitter-free footages. Fun little fact, back then, I always declare myself more as a wide-angle kind of person, but on this Iceland trip, actually, I zoomed in a lot. Most of my shots were captured between 20 to about 80mm, so I have the tendency to start to zoom in and get that compression. Just some interesting fact, I just want to prove to myself that I have already evolved as a photographer, and that's okay, that's part of the photography journey. Next thing that worked really well is my dedicated ultra wide angle setup, which is the Panasonic Lumix GF9 and the Panasonic Leica 9mm lens. So yeah, wide angle can actually offers a different kind of perspective, and I think it is really needed for this particular Iceland trip. Not only because you need to capture landscape with wide angle stuff, but also because with the wide angle lens sometimes you can tell a better story, you can include more context, more information, so it is improving the storytelling elements of your photos. Anyway, before I went on the trip, I was worried that 9mm is not going to be wide enough, but actually when I start using it in Iceland, I feel that 9mm is more than enough. You can capture everything in a single frame, but you don't feel that emptiness, that hollowness when you are using something wider than 9mm. It is really great for that classical wide-angle landscape compositions, which you will encounter a lot in Iceland. Waterfalls, glaciers, volcanoes, just some dramatic sceneries, otherworldly landscapes that you will encounter in Iceland will look good with ultra wide-angle lens like the Panasonic Leica 9mm. And then also it is great as a selfie machine, so we don't need help from other people to capture photos of me and my wife. I can just flip the screen on the GF9, point the camera at me and my wife, and have some nice background, and we can just take some selfies, our photos together with that nice, beautiful sceneries. And then also it is great as my Aurora capturing machine. Yes, the Panasonic Leica 9mm and the GF9 actually becomes my de facto Aurora shooting setup because again the Panasonic Leica 9mm has large f1.7 aperture, making it possible for me to not use extreme settings to capture Aurora, and in result I can capture all that beautiful lights dancing in the sky in the evening without cranking up too much ISO, without having too long of a shutter speed, and be able to also capture me and my wife in the frame as well. Now the GF9 is technically not the most capable camera in my collection, and also handling with it is kind of difficult because it doesn't have large grip like the G100. Manual control is also very poor with this guy. I have to be honest with you, if you prefer something that is more tactile, something that is easier to operate, then don't use the GF9. But it is extremely portable, extremely lightweight. Again, I'm traveling by plane. We have that 7kg weight limit restriction, and I don't want to check in my camera gear. And I still want to carry jackets, some clothes, some toiletries, some electronics in my carry-on. So something that can reduce the overall weight is always welcome. But the GF9 can still be operated in manual mode. You just have to be patient, assign one of the custom function button for changing ISO, and when you are shooting full manual, use the exposure button to switch between shutter speed and aperture. Now I want to mention quickly about why I use two cameras while I was talking a lot about saving weight. It seems counterintuitive, but let me explain. Iceland is known for its crazy weather. At one time it will be sunny, then suddenly it will rain, and suddenly the winds will become like hurricane. So changing lens is something that I don't want to do frequently in Iceland. And yeah, I want to be able to have two lenses ready at all times without having to change lenses, and that's why I use this dual body setup. And yeah, you might say, hey Gary, two bodies, that will add some weight. But fortunately, the total setup of my cameras, the G100, GF9, the lenses, the super zoom, the 9mm and the backup lenses are only about 1.2 kilograms total inside of my carry-on bag. So I still have some space and weight left for my other important travel stuff. Next thing that worked really well is my tripod, especially the leg part of the tripod. It is very easy to set up with these knobs rather than using the twisting and turning mechanism. This is much faster, much more reliable, and I can be very versatile and very quick deploying my tripods for that long shutter speed and the filter waterfall shots, and also for capturing northern lights. Also very important to mention, the tripod itself is quite lightweight, and that's the reason why I brought this particular tripod to Iceland. This is Ulanzi MT55 Omra tripod if you guys are interested in it. And yeah, I'm quite happy with its performance, but there's one flaw that I will explain later when I'm talking about some things that aren't working on this particular trip. Next thing that worked really great is my filters. So these are K&F Concept magnetic filters. I brought two different sizes. One is the 67mm for my Panasonic Leica 9mm, no vignette even though I stacked some filters. And then this is the 58mm for my 14-140 lens. So yeah, I love the fact that they are magnetic, they are very easy to put into the lenses, I don't have to screw in, especially when I'm in the heat of the battle, I'm panicking because the moments are fleeting, and I just want to attach my filters as fast as possible. And also during bad weather condition, when it was windy, yeah, this kind of magnetic filters work really great. You don't really have to use K&F, but any magnetic filter can really save a lot of time and stress. Next thing that worked really great on this trip is my phone. So I know this is not really related to my Micro Four Thirds camera setup, but there are some things about this phone that really help me to simplify the workflow when I'm traveling. So obviously this is my supplemental camera for recording some B-rolls and also for casual moments photography where I don't really need the horsepower of my Micro Four Thirds cameras. Obviously we already know that, but there's one thing about my phone that is somehow connected to my photography workflow, and that is because this is my backup device while I'm on the go. I did not bring my laptop on this trip. I wanna save as much weight as possible. So I use my phone every time I got back to the hotel to back up the pictures from my Micro Four Thirds cameras into my SSD hard drive. So I brought along with me a simple USB-C dongle which has SD card reader, some USB ports. I plug it in into my phone, and then I can just take out the SD cards from my cameras, put it into the dongle, and then connect my SSD into the dongle as well, and use my phone's file manager to copy and paste the pictures from the SD card into the SSD, so I can have some backups while I'm on the go without needing to bring any laptop or specific device. Now let's talk about some challenges that I faced from my gear when I was in Iceland. First of all, no in-body stabilizer on all of my Micro Four Thirds cameras this time. Back then in 2022 when I visited Iceland, all of my cameras do have in-body stabilizer. They are the G85 and the GX8. This time, both the G100 and GF9 don't have eyepiece. And yeah, I have to be honest with you guys, sometimes I do wish they come with eyepiece. But with solid photography principles, setting high enough shutter speed and don't be afraid to shoot at higher ISO, I can overcome my fear of lack of eyepiece. So yeah, not really a big issue. And even if I wanna do slower shutter speed thingy, I do brought my tripod with me and I use my tripod for that waterfall shots, for that aurora shots. Next challenge, no weather sealing on all of my cameras. Again, the G100 and GF9 are not pro cameras, they don't have weather sealing. But that actually turned out not to be a big of a deal. First of all, when I carry my camera around in Iceland, if I'm on landscape locations, I won't have them dangling around my neck, but I will use this bag right here. This is the Alpaca Go Sling bag, and this is actually weather sealed, so I put them inside of this bag and they will be protected. And if you are interested in this bag, I have an affiliate link on the description below that will give me a little bit of incentive, some small money to help the channel running. So if you want to purchase this bag, make sure to use my affiliate link. But again, weather sealing and also weather sealed zippers, it's just convenient, and it makes sure that my gears are actually safe. And then second of all, when it starts to rain, when I'm shooting, when I'm capturing some photos with my cameras, I will stop anyway. Not because I'm afraid that water will damage the cameras, but because when water droplets starts to get into the front element of the lenses, it will ruin the shot anyway. So it's better for me to just stop shooting, pause for a while, wait for the weather to get better and start shooting again. Next challenge, battery efficiency. No joke, Iceland during October is cold, the temperature hovers around 5 degrees Celsius and my cameras eat through the batteries quickly. Luckily, I brought a lot of batteries on this particular trip, so battery is not really an issue for me. Even when I'm shooting Northern Light with my GF9 during the cold dark nights, I still have a spare battery in case I wanna keep shooting for at least 1 more hour or so. Anyway, now let's talk about what didn't work on this particular thing. Well, there were only 2 things that didn't work, and they are these lenses. My kit lens, the 12-32, and my mini telephoto, the 35-100mm Panasonic Lumix lenses. They didn't work not because they are not compatible with Iceland or they are not capable enough to capture all of those beautiful landscapes and sceneries. No, they didn't work because actually my super zoom and my ultra wide angle setup work really well and I didn't really need to use my backup lenses. That's why. But on a future trip, maybe I will just use the kit lens and the mini telephoto and I shouldn't have any problem at all. Maybe I just need to add 1 more ultra wide angle lens and I'll be good to go. Also, one more thing that I forgot to mention related to the tripod. Again, the tripod legs work really well. I love the knob mechanism. I think it is much easier to deploy rather than something that twists and turns. But the problem is with the ball head. Now, currently I use a different ball head for my tripod. I use a ball head from my different tripod. But this is the original ball head that comes with the Ulanzi Ombra tripod. It looks like this. Nothing wrong with the quality of the ball head itself, but the problem is right here. As you can see on this part of the tripod, it is raised a little bit to accommodate the screw. You can see right here, that's the metallic screw. This is the part that I was talking about, the raised part. That always catches on with the tripod plate on my camera, making screwing the camera onto the tripod less secure One time, even my camera almost fall out from the tripod, and that was dangerous. So I think this design, this kind of, weird, and I don't like it. It's not secure at all. And that's why I changed the tripod ball head with this new, not new, but I used my older tripod's ball head, and it doesn't have that raised indentation for the screw. Yeah, I think this design is much better and more secure. So in conclusion, is Micro Four Thirds camera system good enough for Iceland? And the answer is a very big yes. For low light, well, the GF9 and the Panasonic Leica 9mm is my Aurora capturing machine, so no problem with low light. No weather sealing, no problem. Just use a camera bag that is weather sealed and be careful with your gear, no problem at all. No in-body stabilizer, no problem. Just use higher shutter speed and don't be afraid to shoot at higher ISO. No big sensor, no shallow depth of field. No problem as well. We will be shooting mostly landscape anyway, so you will need to stop down your aperture. No big sensor is no problem. No pro features. These cameras aren't my best Micro Four Thirds cameras, but they perform really well in Iceland. In conclusion, Micro Four Thirds is more than good enough for Iceland. I will be more than confident enough to bring them on a future Iceland trip again. And that wraps up today's video. So that is my Micro Four Thirds gear evaluation after I went back from my Iceland trip. Hopefully this has been interesting, entertaining, fun and useful as well. I surely had a lot of fun making this video. Anyway, if you have any questions, please comment down below. But my question to you, let's have a little bit of a discussion right now. What will be the Micro Four Thirds cameras and lenses that you will bring on a future trip? Maybe if you're not using Micro Four Thirds, feel free to share what other cameras or lenses that you will bring on a future trip. I'd love to hear from you guys. But anyway, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to my channel down below. And if you want to support my work even further, consider joining my Patreon membership. I will put the link right here. I will post some exclusive contents about this Iceland trip, as well as a full-blown travel photography course video that you won't see anywhere else. I will share my knowledge and expertise regarding about travel photography. I already did travel photography for more than 10 years, so hopefully you'll be able to learn something from my Patreon. Also use my affiliate links down below. It will help to support this channel. Use the super thanks button to make a small donation to my channel. Anyway, thank you very much, and I will see you guys on the next video. Goodbye.